Fighters, today I want to welcome you to the show. I have a fun conversation I'm having here with my buddy David Chism. He is the founder, CEO, owner, guru, figurehead, any other terms I could think of here, of A David Creation. He's a marketing company for contractors. And so I'm just going to bring you in now, Dave, because I was going to say some stuff that doesn't really need to be part of the intro. So there we go. All right, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Tom? Doing great. Thanks for inviting me back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. We were texting back and forth going, when did we officially meet? We figured out it was 2005.
Yeah.
So what's that? 18 years. Yeah, I was going the other way. Sorry. 18 years. Holy cow.
Yeah. A little more gray hair and some facial hair since then.
Yeah, a little more. A lot has changed in 18 years since we met. Guys, we were part of a consulting group for contractors. And at the time, that's how we met. And I feel like I called you every 7 minutes going, hey, what are you doing for this? And what are you doing for this? And this is fresh in my brain because I just recorded a video that's coming out for the show on how to be coached well. And one of the tips that I gave was lean on the community. There's a lot of value inside of a community when you're getting coached or mentored, especially in a group. And that's, I think, what we did.
Yeah,
and, you know, we built a good relationship, kept it up for many years. So before we dig in, guys, we're going to talk about some marketing stuff here today. Before we do that, why don't you give us the 30,000-foot view of you, what you do, all that good shit.
Yeah.
And then we'll dig in, man.
Sure thing. So I help contractors with their marketing plan and then execute it. So I'm basically like a fractional CMO for a lot of companies. So they outsource the marketing to me. We do some things in-house. We've got some vendors we work with to do some of the specialized services, whether it's Google Ads or LinkedIn or whatever it might be. So I come in, see what they did in the past, what's worked, what didn't, help them develop their message and make sure that we have a clear plan and strategy and then execute it. So that's I specialize again with a lot of painting contractors, remodeling, anyone with a tool belt.
There you go. And you started that what year?
I started in 2009, so April of 2009. So
great timing.
Right? I know.
For those that are too young to remember, it was the Great Recession.
Yeah.
And he calls me one day and says, hey, I'm starting this marketing company. Because you were working for your dad's painting company, Chism Brothers Painting out in San Diego.
Yep.
And doing a lot of things there, which now fast forward several years, you now own that company.
I do.
Yeah. So, guys, David's not only a marketing dude, but he is a contractor as well. He's living it. He's feeling it. He's actually running Chism Brothers Painting from Maryland, and the company is in San Diego because you relocated your family out to Maryland a decade ago or so.
Yeah, 2008, and I didn't think it was going to happen, like in terms of taking over the business. Cloud technology was obviously around, but not like it is today. So it just made it a lot easier with Zoom. And I get on the weekly meeting with the general manager out there, go out there 3 to 4 times a year, try to stay out of his way. That's how I try to do.
Yeah. See, guys, that's the beauty of this. When you have the right people in place, that's I think the number one bullet point in your job description is stay out of their way. But you can't stay out of their way if you don't have a clear direction, right? You got to give clear marching orders. And so let's dig into Chism Brothers here a minute, the painting company. Yeah. When did you buy it officially and it became all yours?
Well, just a couple months ago. So Dad's been talking to me about it for years. He tried to sell it to several other people. About 2 years ago, he reached out to me and said, hey, is this a business of interest to you? It always has been. So I said, yes, and he's like, all right, well, I'd rather give it to you. So we just started talking about how that would look like. He wanted money out of the business. He didn't want to just give it to me.
Yeah.
He's worked long and hard in it for 40 something years now. So we just worked it out with his attorney and that we're going to do a gifting of shares over. Originally, it was 10 years. Mm-hmm. Then it went down to 5 years. Then it went down to 3 years. This is how my dad works. And then, so last year I was a 33% owner on paper.
Okay, there you go.
And then January of this year, he's like, screw it. Let's just give it to you. And so he called his attorney. I flew out there in March. He signed over the rest of the shares. So Dad is retired. I became the 100% share owner. We're just working out some fine details of California law. So, for me to be the, contractor license number, all that, I got like 2 more years of jumping through some hoops there.
Gotcha.
So he's still involved. His title is CFO, but he's pretty much retired. So he pops in whenever he feels like it.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So what's been one of the biggest challenges taking this thing over, man? I'm curious.
Yeah, for me, it's probably been the fact that I really do love Chism Brothers. It's our family name, and it's been since I was a little kid. My dad running it, so it's hard for me to get out of the guy's way. I mean, I think I'm doing okay, but I have a lot of passion to see this thing succeed. And actually, for the last Chism Brothers is my first customer, so I had no ownership until recently. So as a marketing guy, I did their marketing, and it's smaller than some companies. It's really consistent, but for years I thought, hey, they're just a client, right? And all of a sudden, and I did what they wanted me to do. Like, we just want to be this size. This is how many leads we want, and that's what I've done. So now got ownership, and I'm like, oof. Where are we going from here? Like, what's next? I want to get this division up and running. I want to grow it to this size and hire, so I'm trying to be like, hey, I can provide some leadership. And goals and all that stuff, but I've got to really make sure I don't burn out my team or they don't freak out. Like, I'm a visionary guy. So just trying to baby step it, but just work with the guys that I've got. Cause I honestly, if any one of those folks quit on me or God forbid die, I got to go out there and run it quick. So,
and that's the challenge, right? Like, and I do not think this is the case with Chism Brothers, but usually what happens is the kid takes the business, right, and runs it into the ground. Yeah. Because they're not self-aware of some certain things that you already are. And so I have no doubt that, I mean, one of the things you're a combination, as I've known you, you're a combination of having a vision, but also being methodical in your approach to things, and you're willing to play the long game and make the right moves and stuff. So I think it's a good mix, man. And I think you're gonna totally take it to whatever that next level is. How you
appreciate it.
So
I want to move it forward. It's going to get there, but I'm methodical in it, careful. Yeah.
And you said earlier that you think you're doing a good job staying out of the way and things like that. Well, I wanted to let you know that I brought your team on the show today, and we're going to have a little intervention here with you and tell you the truth. No, I'm just kidding.
All of a sudden I started sweating.
Yeah.
That fast, huh?
Yeah. But, well, dude.
Probably would do it. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Never.
No, maybe. So I want to talk about marketing, obviously, and this is a big thing because, like, listen, we don't have a business, we don't have a sale, we don't do jobs without marketing. And I feel like every time I talk about marketing, this comes out of my mouth, and this being, I'm blown away by how little the average contractor thinks about marketing plans and strategies and doing all that, because they'll get, or they only think about it like when the phone stops ringing. I know you see this a lot. And, you and I both for years have been going, no, guys, it's a 365-day-a-year thing, just like recruiting is, that should be, right? And so if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. And I really believe the root of a lot of problems for contractors is they're not fanatical. They're not the champion of marketing in their business because they don't understand the importance of it. And especially now in a time like, we're in, you and I were talking about a topic for this, and And guys, we kind of decided on just an open-ended topic here on what to do when the economy doesn't go your way, when there's doom and gloom in the air. And so there's a couple different things we could talk about here, man. Like the first is, in general, even when times are good, contractors, they get busy, they get consumed with all these things, and then they go, oh shit, I don't have any more leads. And then they think about marketing. There's that side. And then there's the side of right now where the majority of business owners in any industry, they start buying into the stuff that they're seeing in the news, and inflation's high and all this other garbage. And that's just a circumstance. It's just a reality. It's out there and everyone's got to deal with it. But the tendency is they pull back, they play it safe. Where do you want to start? Which of those you want to start on?
Yeah, I think right there is just, we call it head trash. I think let's start right there, because I think that's where we've got to start. We got to get all business owners to think, long game, and what to do when these bumps in the road are going to happen. The one interesting thing is, when I know something's changing, so that, doom and gloom's coming, or at least people think it is, is my phone starts ringing more. So like when COVID hit, that's when my phone stopped ringing. As a marketing person, people stopped calling me because home improvement just took off. In June of 2020, for the couple of years, it was just, guys are going crazy. So I didn't get any leads, I think, in 2020. Just dried up. So I had to, protect my business and keep my customers from, stopping marketing, and be strategic about it. And then last summer, my phone started ringing again. And I thought, wow, that's it. I'm just still doing my basic thing, and all of a sudden I'm starting to get calls. And that's when I started to realize, all right, things are changing. People are wondering what's happening. Leads are starting to drop. So I've been just telling guys, don't stop marketing. Start adapting and making some changes. Don't freak out. And now's the time to start getting some market share too. So when the economy starts to drop, that's the time to kind of look at, like, what are your competitors doing? I've got some guys I work with that are starting to look at buying other guys out, so that the guys that are freaking out, go buy them out. Why not? Have those conversations.
So I want to be clear here, just in case anyone's consumed. So COVID hits, your phone stops ringing because people were on their own just reaching out to contractors. Because they're sitting at home, they're looking at their ratty looking kitchen or whatever it is, and they're like, hey, let's get some prices. So they start reaching out to contractors. So the contractors don't feel the need, right, to invest in a marketing plan and stuff, because was just, they were like little baby birds, right? Just feed me and then just dropping out of the sky.
Order taking.
And I experienced that in the Great Recession, that the years prior to that, we really didn't need to have a marketing plan and strategy, because the phone just rang, when in reality we did need to have one. But and then when things dried up, that's when the order takers became exposed, right? The true salespeople, if you want to call them rainmakers or whatever, they had built strong book of business and a pipeline and relationships and all these different things, and they didn't struggle as much as those that were the order takers. And I guess if I could sum this up, just this attitude you talked about, the head trash and stuff. I think it's having the mindset of always being on the offensive. Not sitting back and waiting for things to happen, but always taking some sort of action on a regular basis, consistent basis, where you're in front of people. Because I think the number one thing that keeps a contractor from growing their business, and when I say grow the business, you guys, I don't mean like, oh, we're going to add 10 trucks and we're going to this and that. I'm talking about growing your profits, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about profit. And I know Chism Brothers is an incredibly profitable company. I mean, you guys do a very respectable revenue, but your profits are probably double the average for painting contractors. And just because I know how you guys and your dad and stuff operated and continue to operate. So if you want to grow your business, you got to start with profit. And when you have, this is my philosophy, Dave, man, is when I have more leads coming in, I can be more bold in the sales process, right? I can not only sell at higher rates, and this is not like gouging people. It's just going, it costs what it costs. And you know, if you're a contractor that has a great team, offers a great experience to people, you should command as much money as you can for that, so that you can continue to reinvest into your people, give them a future, you know, and train them and all the things that prevent other problems going on down the road. And so when you have a lot of leads coming in, when you have too many leads coming in, that's actually a great situation to be in. A lot of guys are like, I'm going to stop marketing. My phone's ringing too much. And I think that's one of the worst things you could do, because then it moves to a sales process issue. Yeah. And so, so I just encourage people to be on the attack. So what do you do? What are you telling your clients to do right now when they feel the economy's not going their way?
Yeah. So I tell them, you know, order taking is, I said, get out of the order taking mindset. A lead is a lead to some degree, because for years, especially when times are good, it's like, you know, I tried this, I tried that, didn't work, or these leads are crappy, these leads are, you know, I don't like them. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just telling, hey guys, leads that cost money to get a lead. You know, whether it's your time or resources, the lead that came in here, you worked for it to some point. So I'm like, you know, you can always, what you did 6 months ago may not work today. So your pre-qualification, start looking at your processes and tweak it a little bit. So maybe 6 months ago you went out on 75% of your leads. Maybe you want to go out on 85 or 95% of them. So use more of your sales tools that you've been learning, right? Mm-hmm. So slow down the pre-qualified part. Get your sales guys more engaged, less order taking, more, you know, go out there and really find out what that customer wants. Because, you know, leads are a little bit more challenging to come by today than they were 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. And then to piggyback that, I'm also putting more responsibility. I know I'm a marketing guy, so there's always this fight between the marketers and the sales guys. In the perfect world, I'd love to have every sales guy on a marketing call and every marketing guy on a sales call, because I think they should talk to each other and be a team. But trying to get the sales guys to never stop prospecting. And having that, I think it's really hard. I get it, because of small business, you know, it's like these guys get super busy and they stop prospecting because they got all the stuff the marketing guys are doing for them. This is great. Makes the marketing guys look good. And it's like, hey, well, slow down, you know. But now's the time where, like, well, it should never, like, you should always have a book of business of prospecting. Like, I'm out there, whether it's weekly, daily, hourly, you know, put it on your calendar. It's like, what does my prospecting plan look like? There's a book that came out a few years ago, Fanatical Prospecting.
Yep. Jeb Blount. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, always think 90 days plus. And every time you stop, there's going to be a little bit of a dip at some point. Yeah. So now's the time more than ever that I'm getting those guys stop the order taking mindset and start thinking, how am I going to close this job? How am I going to get some referrals out of this? How am I going to stay top of mind with this person? Like, I've also seen that the sales guys are so used to sell it, move on to the next, but that salesperson really needs to take more ownership. That, like, hey, I'm going to go reach back out to this customer, take true ownership of it long term. So that's a big part of it.
So I think a lot of people also, when they think prospecting, they think, I got to be on the hunt for new people. What are your thoughts on, or maybe some strategies to prospect your own database, your existing database?
Again, same thing with what we've seen when times are plentiful. Now all of a sudden you got all these leads and sales. You've got people that you've sold. You've got people that were a loss that you lost. And then there's folks in the middle that didn't go anywhere. Yeah. All of them to me are prospects still. Unless there's a few out of there that just, you don't ever want to work for. But I would start with the clients and start developing your post-sale ops. Like what happens next? So how often, you know, is it going to be through a direct mail, phone calls, text message, emails, personal visits? So we're also talking residential, commercial. So what is your plan of, all right, I sold it, we produced it, they're happy, they, you know, wrote a review and a testimonial or whatever. Now what's next? How often am I supposed to stay top of mind to this person? And some of the, the companies that rely on those small, simple sales, like the lawn care guys, the pest control, they're all over that because they're several $100 sales. They have to do that. It's a lot more challenging for those who are selling $5,000 to $20,000 plus jobs. They're the ones that got to start here, nurture those folks first, because that's your low hanging fruit right there. And we also have to think that, okay, fine, I just painted their house, I just built their kitchen. They don't have a second kitchen. They don't have, but stay in front of them. They're going to refer you. They're going to move. They're going to drop your name more often. Be their friend, right? So I would start there. The second, then you look at the ones that didn't go anywhere. Then I would start there. Second is what's my plan? Am I going to text them, call them, email them, maybe all of that, and go after them then? Like, hey, did you select a contractor? How was the experience? Did they do everything they promised to do? Is there anything I can do to earn your business? Just go after that heavy. So, and then you go with the ones that truly said no, reach out to them. Hey, you never know. Maybe they had a bad experience. Or, wow, they're reaching out to me. I think most of the guys that I've talked to don't like the prospecting side, let's say the texting or the reaching out, because they feel like, I wouldn't like that. I don't like when people contact me. So I'm not going to do it to my prospects, my customers. They reach out to me when they, well, that doesn't work. Maybe 80% of your business comes from repeat referral, but what about that extra 20%? What about that, where's that extra profit coming from? So you got to always have a plan.
Yeah, there's a stat somewhere out there that around 20% of your customers every year leave, give or take. They die, they move, whatever happens, right? Their kid opens a painting business and they'll never hire you again, right? You just never know. And so you have to have, like, I believe wholeheartedly there's, depending on the size of your business, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of revenue sitting under your nose in your current database.
Sure.
Okay. And like you said, we have to also allocate some regular time to create new relationships and things like that. And guys, if you noticed, everything that we're talking about so far, we're not talking about running ads.
You haven't gotten there yet.
We haven't gotten there yet. You haven't, in some ways, you haven't earned the right to run ads yet if you're not doing some of this simple shit. Like if you don't have, some regular email or text marketing going out to your database, if you're not posting on social, if you're not calling past customers just to check in on them and go, hey, man, I just wanted to, see how that deck we did for you last year is looking. Is there anything that when you're sitting there having a beer at night and smoking a cigar, is anything that's driving you crazy that you see it every night? And I say that because one of my friends had an issue in his kitchen where it wasn't a big deal, but it's like every time he walked into the kitchen, his eye would go up to this drywall imperfection that was around one of his ceiling lights, one of his can lights. And it just bothered him. And had that painter just pick the phone up, hey, how's it going? Is there anything driving you crazy? You know what, man? Every time I walk in here, it's not a big deal, but my eye's drawn to this. Somebody's going to go, man, I'll get out there in the next week or two. Let me just figure out a time, and I'll get it out there, and we'll float it out for you, and it'll look great. It wasn't him being nitpicky. It was just something that bothered him. In fact, dude, I won a job, a $20,000 interior repaint once. Who was a past customer, somebody we both know in the Chicagoland area when I ran my business there. Mm-hmm. He was a really good dude. They do great work. They bend over backwards for their clients, as far as I know, right? And I know the guy, and he's a good dude. I'm out there, and I somehow came up, that, I wasn't happy with the last painter we hired. And I was like, really? What? Tell me more about that. And she said, and it was ridiculous. There was like in those kitchens, man, where back in like the 80s, they would build a kitchen, and then part of the kitchen, they'd have a little built-in desk. You could do your bills. And well, the desk that came out, if you got down on your hands and knees and looked up underneath the desk, I swear there was a piece of drywall that was a foot long and 6 inches high that didn't get painted. It was, I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous, right?
Sure.
That this was an issue with this lady. Let's just put that out there.
Yep.
But she's like, yeah, I spilled something last year or whatever it was. It was a couple of years ago. And I went down on the floor to clean it. And I just happened to look up and they missed this spot. And I said, well, did you call them? I said, if it bothers you that much, did you call them? And she said, no, I didn't want to be a bother. So here's a perfect example of being on the attack, you guys. Like, had this guy pick the phone up and just said, hey, Mary, it's so-and-so. I wanted to check in. How's the project looking? Hey, you know what, man? This is probably a ridiculous thing. It's not a big deal, but it kind of bothers me. I was cleaning my floor and I saw this. You know it as well as I know. That guy would have gone out there. He would have taken 7 minutes of his life to paint the thing, and he would have stayed engaged with that customer. Instead, I got a $20,000 project that was really his because he didn't stay in touch in a way with her. Okay, like doing some of this. And so this is, guys, marketing is not just like run an ad, spend some money, and hope the phone rings. It's not just wrap your truck. These are all tactics and things like that. But what David and I are talking about is, especially in these times when people are more fearful, the doom and gloom, they're holding back, inflation's higher, it's going to be way easier for you to re-engage a past client who was happy with you than to go find a new one right now. You're going to get less price objection and all that other bullshit if you were on their radar. And so, you know, back to what we said a minute ago, like, you're not ready for some of this other stuff if you're not doing the basics.
Well, you know how years ago there was a consultant, her name was Terry. I wish I knew her last name because this is kind of her quote. She got up at a presentation. You may have been there. I don't know. She said, marketing is everything you do and don't do in your business. And she gave examples. You know, it's how you answer the phone. Are you answering with a smile on your face or a frown? It's like everything you do in your business, people are watching. And if they're watching, you know, how you answer the phone and like, well, that was a pleasant experience, that's good marketing.
Yeah.
People think marketing is literally just spending money and getting leads. Like, no, I mean, you look at Chick-fil-A, you know, they haven't, to my knowledge, they haven't changed the taste of their food in the last 10, 15, 20 years. But the way they market is the experience, right? And like, just since I've been out east, there's a lot of them out here, but I've watched how they've implemented little things in their business to make the experience better. You know, they're out front now, you know, they're all lined up outside, all their people with umbrellas and whatnot to take people's orders so they can, why? Because people said, oh, you know, going to the drive-through years ago, you can't understand, there's still jokes about it. You can't hear the person in the drive-through window of what you just ordered. So now they're like, all right, we're just going to walk right up to their window and repeat everything back. They just solved the problem. That's marketing, you know? Yes, it's operations and whatnot. But so all the stuff we're talking about is like, how can I best get in front of those customers and keep them happy? This is another small story, this example. My wife hired we got a chocolate lab, so he gets this brown hair on our white carpet, and kids too. So it's like every couple times a year we got to get our carpet cleaned. It's kind of hard to find a good carpet cleaning company in our area for whatever reason. This is something my wife said, I'll handle it. She went out at one point, found a good guy. I remember kind of seeing them in and out do their job. It looked good to me. I asked my wife, hey, what did you think? They were the best we've had. Well, guess what? I haven't heard from them since.
Yep.
It's been a couple years. I honestly probably spent a couple hours hunting for these guys online, trying to figure out who they are, because she's like, hey, we got to get our carpets cleaned again. And I can't remember who we hired. So I'm like, oh,
dude,
that kind of stuff.
I have a sprinkler guy and I have a carpet guy who don't keep in touch. I have a painter who doesn't keep in touch. I love them all. They did great. They're great people. So I'm not ripping on them as people. But here's the deal. It's not my job to remember who you are.
No.
It's the business's job to make me remember who you are.
Yeah.
Okay? And I had to find a new sprinkler guy this year because I couldn't find the other guy's info.
Yeah, that sucks. We had to find a new carpet cleaning company.
Yeah. So it's, and again, this comes back to marketing is also make it easy for people to do business with you.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
exactly.
Like if make it easy and the most generic, simple way. I mean, dude, when we coach people inside Battleground and somebody's like, oh, my phone's not ringing and I need leads. When I start having a conversation of, what actions they're taking and what focus they're putting on their current database, damn near 100% of the time, they're not just simply doing some of this basic stuff, like, which is rooted in, make me feel like you care about me, that I'm important. Like, hey, I hired you, I liked you, make me feel important because of that. Right. And part of that, and get it out of your head that they don't want to hear from you. They might not reply to your text or your phone call, but that's not your job. Your job is to control what you can control in this moment. And that is, I mean, dude, I did a post in our free Facebook group the other night, because we just opened up our Battleground program again. And I said, I was looking for the post, I can't find it, but I basically said, hey, we have a Battleground wait list. Battleground's open until May 31st. And inevitably, we're going to get a lot of people to go, oh, I didn't know it was open. Because it happens every time we open it. People are like, I didn't know it was open. I said, so consider this you're being told that it's open post. And over the next week, you're going to see at least a post or a video every damn day in this group. And your email is going to be exploding, because we're going to do our job making sure that you know the program is open. Right. Okay, like that's the approach that you all need to take. Now, what they do with it, they can choose not to email or open the email. They can unsubscribe. They can not answer the text or whatever they're getting. But I don't care what their job is. My job is to make sure the world knows that I'm here. This is what we do. We're still in business. You know,
I think about the texting and the email, for example, with unsubscribe. People have to be able to unsubscribe by law from all this crap.
Yeah.
But how many people actually unsubscribe from your stuff? Unless you're throwing out just crappy stuff and you're annoying. For the most part, most people don't unsubscribe because they have some genuine interest in your product or service. Yeah. I mean, I'm shocked. Even this last year or so, I've seen email marketing go up, not down. People reading more emails than ever before. I mean, we used to... MailChimp years ago was like, they would give you these industry standards, like, if you can get a 17% open rate, that's industry standard. We were always getting like 25. I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. On average, we're getting 40%, 50% in the last year. And it's like, wow, I haven't really made any changes. And you get a couple people unsubscribe every single email. As a business owner, you can get the big ego and go, oh, shoot, why did I lose 3 people to my email? What we do wrong? It's just normal. The people that are staying with you on the texts and emails or the calls or the social media, it's because they like something about you. At some point, they're going to need you again. So it's permission marketing in a sense. You're at some point. I'm a big fan of asking people how they want to stay in touch with you. Have that conversation with them and say, hey, we're a paint company, we're a remodeling company, we're a roofing company, but we're gonna just tell them what you're gonna do. Hey, we will stay in touch with you. Because it's not your job, just like you said, it's not your job to remember us. But we got a system in place. We're gonna text you now and then. We're gonna email you, and guess what? They can say, I don't want you to do that. Well, great. Make a note.
Fine. Great.
Is that 1%, 2%?
Well, and it's also like, hey, we're gonna stay in touch with you because you might have a water leak and you need something fixed, right? And we're the ones that painted the thing or built the thing, and we know all the ins and outs of it and the colors, and we were here and we understand the context of the job. What I'm saying here is, like, you're not just saying, hey, we're going to send you a bunch of sales pitches. Like, you could send a text out with a link to a quick video going, hey, I know we painted your house last year. Here's a 45-second video where we give a tip on how to touch up your walls. Yeah. Like, guys, you got to lift a finger here if you want the phone to ring. And here's the other thing, David, I know somebody who's in a major city has way more competition online and with ads and direct mail and things like that than somebody that might be in a smaller market, right? If there's 100, I mean, we probably had it at one point. This is funny, man. This is way back in the day when outside of Chicago with our painting business, there were 700 options for painters on Angie's List at the time. Because back when Angie's was what they were in the beginning, it was actually really good
halfway
for us.
Decent.
But, and I probably did $300,000-400,000 a year just from Angie's List, and it was great. But there were 700 other contractors on there that said they'd painted. in our area. Now, you take that same service and you put it in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, it's going to be different. It's most likely not going to be 700, right? So my point here is a lot of people are like, why isn't my ad working? Why isn't this working? There's a lot of different factors to those things. So guys, the stuff that we've been talking about up until this point, this is the edge for you. Like, this is the edge, that staying in touch, that personal touch, it's a handwritten card. It's a text. Hey man, I know we had to get the kitchen or whatever done by your daughter's graduation, which might have been a couple weeks ago. I just wanted to check in. How'd the party go? I was thinking about it today. I mean, that's being different, you guys. And really the best marketing is different. It's something it's the whole purple cow theory.
I mean, I do it myself in my business so that I don't need to work with hundreds or thousands of contractors. So for my smaller network of guys, I do similar things. I text them, I email, I'm on a lot of calls with them, but even outside of our business calls, we're texting each other now and then. I get on the phone sometimes, just say, hey, how's it going? Mm-hmm. I've sent handwritten notes, gifts in the mail, just little things. And for some clients, I fly out and see them, show up and spend a day with them. All those kind of things. That's where, and I said, well, you got to do this on a larger scale for your contracting business. Just your customers are the ones that you need to stay top of mind with all the time, as much as possible.
Yeah, and here's something for everyone to chew on as well. You skirted over this earlier, but when you get a lead, you guys, whether they buy or not, you paid for it. Time or money, right? You paid time or money or both. And so how do you treat that lead after you get it? I don't mean like the conversation. I'm talking like, here's an example. I coached a guy who was like, if they don't hire me, they're dead to me. You know what I mean? And they basically did nothing with the lead. They didn't even have it in their database. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you don't know why they didn't hire you. I mean, literally this morning, I got somebody who I was talking to about doing some coaching with, and I'm going to read this to you. I shoot a message. I go, hey, what's the good word? You jumping in the group? Because she said she was jumping in, right? I get a picture of their dog wearing a cone on its head and a cast. And on the other paw, there's some other bandage. Hey, our 9-week-old puppy took a swan dive off the deck onto a paver patio on Monday. We've been a little distracted, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now I'm calling her later today, and I'm gonna answer a question that she has, and then she's gonna join the group. My point here, guys, is don't make assumptions that because somebody doesn't buy from you right now that you know what the hell's going on in their life.
Yeah.
This past week, I have a salesperson following up with me for something, and I finally replied. I meant to reply. I just got distracted. And I replied, I'm like, hey, our 2 youngest daughters are graduating high school within a 2-week period. We got this going on and this going on, and I've just been crazy. I'm going to put it on a reminder on my phone to give you a call next week when it opens up, and we'll iron this thing out. Yeah. So the point here, y'all, is when somebody doesn't hire you, remember that you've invested something to get that lead, to get that information. Especially if you have an address or something, David. Like, I get mail for the people that lived in this house before we did.
Yeah.
Marketing mail and stuff, and sometimes you hire those people.
Yeah.
It's just a new homeowner.
One thing I have seen too from hearing back from my clients, like, tell me more about the leads that you've gotten in the sales, and they say, well, sometimes the lead flow, it might be decent. Certain months it might be up, it might be down, but they're having a more challenging time closing some of these leads. So I said, well, are you getting a no? And they're like, no, not a lot of no's. Okay, well, that's something. And that tells me that people are, there's some uncertainty in the air for sure with, if you watch the news at all, or, all that. But I think that what we're seeing is that some people are actually moving money around. They're moving money from their savings and their checking to money markets. I'm starting to see ads, with the money markets are producing at 4 or 5+%, your savings, nothing. So it's harder to get your money out of a money market and CDs than your liquid bank. So that's another issue of why people may be sitting on it a little bit. So don't assume when you're going out there like, crap, I didn't sell it, and they don't have the money, they're not the right fit. It's like, no, have the conversation, talk to them, say when, have a next step. Always have a next step. And I have seen leads, the cost of leads, not everywhere, but at least for the painting market or concrete flooring guys, I do a lot of those guys. Their lead cost is not what it was a couple years ago, especially for the concrete coatings guys. They're still there, but they're almost double what they were a year or two ago across the country. Still getting them, but costing more. So what are they, what are they doing about it? Some are just raising prices a little bit because of inflation. They're like, well, okay, it's $200 a lead instead of $100, or 50. It's 100 instead of 50. So it's like, hey, but I'm still getting it. Then they're going out and maybe they might have to raise the price a little bit. But they're having those conversations. They're saying, okay, they're not ready now, but they will be at some point. So there's not as many no's, just people sitting a little bit. Now you got to decide, well, how are you going to move that needle more? That's where you might talk about financing or other things. Like, what can you do to get that person to buy? So it's all marketing.
It is. So before we get out of here today, what is something that you maybe want to cover or wish contractors knew about marketing, getting the phone to ring with more ideal clients, whatever, that we haven't touched on right now? Just something that maybe is, because I also know there's trends, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's, what do you, it could be anything from that to what do you see working now that you might be like a little, hey, I didn't see that coming, or whatever. Like, what comes to mind that we haven't talked about?
So we haven't talked about the actual strategy of, there's lots of different ways to market your business. We just talked about, customers, repeat, referral, all that. The next thing is like, what, in talking traditional today's marketing, a lot of people last decade have been all about internet, social media. And then the last couple of years, let's get some video out there. So let's start producing video. So now we're kind of seeing like, well, what space has started? Anytime you do this, there's like this crowd of people following behind you. Like, how many, and it's the same trends you see on Facebook. Everyone just piled onto Facebook. All the kids said, my parents are on Facebook, so I'll go to Instagram. All the parents went over to Instagram, and all the kids said, my parents are on Instagram, I'll go to TikTok or Snapchat and then TikTok, whatever, in that order. So they're all kind of moving, and there's a crowd behind following. It's the same with marketing too. So it's like, okay, well, Facebook has gotten very expensive to put ads out there, and the cost per impression has gone up, not down. Google ads, 40 to 50% increase in spend or cost per click in the last 12 months. That's what this data is coming from. The guys running ads are saying, doing exactly the same thing. It just costs more because why? There's more people doing it.
Exactly.
So everyone's going, all right, let's do Google ads. And I know because people are reaching out to me like, hey, I want to do Google ads. Sometimes they just want to hire me for one thing. No, just do Google ads. That's what I want to do. Why? Because everybody else is doing it. Okay, well, it's going to cost a lot and this and that, no strategy. So now we're starting to see that traditional advertising is not as popular. But, I like to look at marketing as, okay, I'm trying to hit a certain type of individual household, that maybe they're 40 plus year olds that live in this area. Well, how do I hit that individual or that family? I can knock on their door. I can send them a direct mail piece. I can throw them an ad, so I can connect with them somehow on social. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. So as people are moving to the social and all that, I'm starting to see people get back into things like direct mail. Not that it was like ever gone, but what happened, 8 to 10 years ago is like, oh my gosh, direct mail is so expensive. Sure, social media was not too expensive at the time. So now I've seen the switch. Mailing houses and all of them are going, I know that the stamps continue to go up, the postage, but mailing printers are going, hey, we gotta stay in business. Here's our deal.
Yeah.
So you can get a list of, get pretty specific on who you're trying to get after. This is the type of home. This is how old it is. This is the kind of person living there. You can do some research on that and go after direct mail. And then instead of traditional TV, I'm seeing a lot of people start to get into, you've heard people talk about OTT, which is over the top, or it's not your traditional TV, it's the smart TV advertising. that's all one-to-one stuff too. So if I flip on my Roku box and I'm going to watch, something on Peacock, maybe I can go over the History Channel, then I go over to, they're following me, and I'm going to see ads that are more directed to my lifestyle. So instead of going to TV and saying I'm going to do the Fox Morning News or the HGTV channel, I can now hit up those individuals for a really affordable cost. Sometimes it's as cheap as $500 a month as a starting point. Whereas traditional TV, a lot of these guys like, oh, I can't afford $5,000 plus a month. So I'm still looking at getting people to, hey, let's go find the prospects. Maybe not do shotgun or don't just blast everybody, but really get back to nurturing, like texting, direct mail, OTT. Any way I can kind of hit them up is what we're starting to do a lot more than we were before.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of emails from Hulu talking about their advertising programs and stuff. And so if somebody wanted to do that, you may not know. I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but like you can tell the Hulu people or whatever, like, hey, I want people that own a home of certain. Like, is there a list with that, or they just blanket it to Colorado Springs or whatever?
Yeah, no, you can get fairly specific. Hulu started with agencies. There is a do-it-yourself platform now with Hulu. Throw that out there. That's Hulu Ad Manager. I'm pretty sure it's for small business now. It used to be like agencies. I have an agency account, so I could do it. But if someone, I'm pretty sure like any contractor should be able to get an account and do it. So you get in there and just start walking through the process. You're going to look at age. How specific is it? As specific as Hulu knows about the person.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
But they might say ages might be 35 to 42, 42 to 48, whatever. It can say homeowner, renter. There's probably 40 or 50 different criteria you can use in there. And then there's like this needle on there, which it's really kind of cool. And it'll say, all right, starting budget on Hulu is $500 a month. For $500, you just gave us this crazy, precise demographics. There's not enough of those people out there. So, or to reach those people, you got to spend $750 or $800. So they'll kind of move that needle. Then you can type in cities or zip codes. You can type in the places to exclude as well. So it's pretty cool. I've and Hulu also doesn't let you do. There's only so much you can do in there. So they'll run it. They'll do best practices. So I can't tell them I want to hit these types of specific shows, but you can say the genre of it. Yeah. So action, gamers, whatever it might be. You can get comedy, but you can't exclude. Like I only want to do this. So you can get 80-90% way there. And then it'll show it so many times per month. So you can't say I want to show this every single day. So if you're running an event or webinar and you want to somehow put that out there, that may not be the best. That's where traditional TV is probably better, because you can say, hey, like a stadium event, you got to go traditional TV and blast people. Sign up today. So Hulu's one. If you work with the big providers out there, iHeartRadio, all your local folks are going to be pushing OTT like crazy right now.
Yeah.
Not super expensive yet. There's also do-it-yourself platforms out there that you can do some Google search and say, hey, I want to do OTT in-house. And they'll do the same thing. There's one called Vibe, V-I-B-E. You can get on there and you can get super specific. You can say, I want to do HGTV. I want to do CBS. I want to do TNT or whatever.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's interesting, man. That's interesting. Yeah, because I'm sitting here back to when I had our business outside of Chicago. One of our ideal client personas was business owners. Because they're busy. They understand things cost money. They don't have time, a lot of them, to get a lot of bids or whatever it might be. So I'll just use this as an example. If I were to use a direct mail list or that platform or whatever, I would go, man, I want this to show up on shows that a business owner is going to watch. You know what I'm saying? Or, where I'm going with that. So, guys, take some time to really dial in who your ideal clients are. What do they care about? What are the shows that people with money are going to be watching?
Well,
Right?
Yesterday I was at a salon with my wife because we're getting ready for a cruise, getting the pedicure, right, all that stuff. And on the screen, I was sitting there bored, and I saw the HGTV on there. So they were watching, I was more interested in the commercials in the program, and I was watching all the commercials, and then one of my takeaways was I saw Trex on there. Trex was advertising.
Huh.
So I've got clients that do decks, build decks, and I say, hey, Trex is investing heavily into HGTV, and they're pushing the product, and they're showing all the cool things you can do with Trex. And I'm like, I better tell we're doing some of that, but I'm going to go back to my customers like, hey, follow Trex. What are they doing? They got the big bucks. Bear Paint was on there too.
Yep.
Go talk to your Bear folks, and maybe you can complement and do a commercial on the same network, and then have Trex pay. Sherwin-Williams will sometimes do this. I don't want to speak for them, but at times in the past they have partnered with paint companies. Say, hey, you do this, you mention us, we can help you with some of those advertising costs. Trex might do the same thing. I know you can be certifications with them. Mm-hmm. Either follow them or do something similar, or say, hey, we are Trex such and such. Oh yeah, Trex HGTV. I see their commercial all the time. I'll hire them. So
I love it, man.
I
love it. It's guys. The whole marketing topic could be a weekly show, a daily show. There's so much, but the bottom line is you have to commit to being the champion of your marketing. You must. I mean, you got to look at it like it's oxygen, right? Without a marketing plan and a strategy, and and continual optimization of it, you're going to struggle more than you should. And I don't mean like struggle like you're broke. I just mean you're going to underachieve.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Who doesn't want just past customers and word of mouth? But if you have a vision to really grow and expand your business, you're going to have to, take part in some of the that we've been talking about here. Because word of mouth and referrals are unpredictable, And so, I mean, I've worked with companies where, even my own company in the past, was for every 100 leads that came in, man, 70 to 80 were past customer referrals and what we call influencers, like a carpenter who hung crown, and they're like, hey, Carpenter Bob gave me your phone number to come paint my crown, right? Because of these relationships, that was 70 to 80% of our leads. But those other 20 were Google or direct mail or, things like that. So there's always going to be a mix.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, dude, how does somebody find you? They want to learn more about what you do and how you help companies and all that stuff. Where do you want them to go?
They can go to my website, adavidcreation.com. They can shoot me an email, david@adavidcreation.com. Those are probably the best ways, and we'll get you set up with I can do a 30-minute consult with them and see where they're at, where they've been, where they want to go. Take it from there.
Good stuff, man. Well, I always enjoy catching up with you, and I appreciate you giving us some wisdom here today and some things to think about, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, and I'll see you in a few months, I think, at our next conference.
That's right, man, in Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on.
Awesome.
So, all right, everybody, give this show a rating, a review, share it with another contractor. The more contractors that learn how to run a real business and get their head right and all that good stuff that we do here at The Fight, the better it's going to be for everyone else. You guys rock. I got to roll. I'm out. Hey, if you like this video, make sure you click subscribe and share this with another contractor. I guarantee it's going to be helpful for them. And right now, somewhere on the screen, there's probably a thing that says watch the next Contractor Fight video. Go ahead and do that too. I'm out.